This is my third time having to record this video, so that's really annoying. Real quick before I get into it though, go check out the soon-to-be third most recent upload, currently second most recent upload at the time this video will be going up on my main channel. It is a video about LeBron James ever since he broke the scoring record. It's basically an entire career retrospective, and I put a ton of blood, sweat, and tears into it. So if you could go check it out, that would be much appreciated. There will be a link in the description, pinned comment, and the card above. Anyways, let's talk about Russell Westbrook signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. This is a very interesting move, and I think one that could be definitely a low-risk, high-reward type of ordeal. So when it was initially brought up, when Russell Westbrook got traded to the Utah Jazz, it was obvious he was going to get bought out, and really it came to be between two candidates, the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Clippers, and I think both teams made sense for different reasons. In the case of the Chicago Bulls, I actually made a video reacting to the rumor that was going to happen. Didn't end up coming out. I said, it's already a circus, you might as well add another clown. If he doesn't work out, if he ends up being terrible, what does it matter? The team's already terrible, and it doesn't matter to me. We're gonna also talk about Kevin Love to the Heat and Patrick Beverly to the Bulls, so we'll get to that in a second. But that team made sense to me for where his career was at if he wanted to take a safer route. In terms of guaranteeing his place in the NBA again, making a mediocre team be a little bit better is kind of a thing that Russell Westbrook has always been pretty good at. Obviously, has not been the case with the Lakers recently, so I could see that being an issue. Also, the fact that like he was supposed to be a quote-unquote Lonzo Ball replacement. He replaces one of the three key things that Lonzo Ball did for the Bulls, the other two being shooting and defense, and we know Russell Westbrook does not do that well, so that was kind of hogwash. But for the sake of the Clippers, more attention to him. There's a contender, there's the pressure of the contender. Once again, it's an LA team, you know. Maybe he's just choosing this so that he doesn't have to move. Moving is a pain in the ass, even if you are rich. Moreover, I think it was, he's not afraid of the spotlight, even after all of this. And you gotta give him credit for that from a character perspective, to have been nothing but belittled pretty much for the last 2 years. And then when presented with an opportunity to be in front of a fan base that, or be on a team that doesn't get media coverage, that doesn't get talked about, that doesn't have any level of expectations, you had that option, and he instead chose to go somewhere where there is media coverage, although maybe not as much proportionally as there should be for one of the league's top teams, but there is media coverage there quite significantly. It's Los Angeles. Back, the same crowd of people will still be there rather frequently that was giving him shit before. It's a lot more of a risk for the pressure side of things. It's a lot more of a risk for the sake that his failures are going to be amplified as they always have been. Maybe not to the same extent, because again, it's the Clippers, not the Lakers, and the media gives less of a shit about them. But if Russell Westbrook makes a big mistake in a playoff game, you're going to see it all over Twitter. Whereas if that happened for the Bulls, A, they might not even make the playoffs, and B, even if they did, everyone's expecting them to lose in the first round, probably in a sweep, so it doesn't really matter, you know? I don't think that Russ would get that much attention with the Bulls. I think he'd get a ton with the Clippers. That's the overall point. But he chose to go to that situation that could be more dire, and I will say from a fit perspective, makes a ton of more sense. Because the biggest issue with trading for Russell Westbrook for the Los Angeles Lakers was that not only were you dealing with the negative sides of Russ and all of that, but you were also putting a huge hole in your team in the depth department. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, I think Montrezl Harrell was the other one involved, whatever, but like those are two very pivotal role players for what the Lakers did. As much as people like to clown on Kyle Kuzma, he was an important part of that team that won a championship. All that said, the Los Angeles Clippers didn't give up anything to lose Russ, and they still have all their depth in the world, and they have all the shooting. So Russell Westbrook is going to a team with depth and shooting when he was previously on a team that did not have depth or shooting, which really, that's the two most pivotal reasons why the Lakers have been terrible. So, ironically, they addressed depth and shooting at the deadline and had a perfect deadline. That's the most recent video that I did. I'd recorded it 2 weeks ago, but it came out yesterday. This channel's doing well. But from a fit perspective, he has all the shooting that he really needs. There's going to be moments where he's out there with Zubats and all that, and I am concerned what he's going to do off of the ball when Paul George and Kawhi Leonard inevitably have the ball in their hands for significant portions of time, because this is the same argument that came up when he went to the Lakers. Like, you're going to take the ball to LeBron's hand to put it in Russell Westbrook's. Like, ultimately, you want the ball in the hand of your best players in the biggest moments, and Russell Westbrook is not going to be one of those best players, even if he ends up contributing positively to this team. And I do think that's very well possible because the two things that Russell Westbrook still does at an above average level, at least one of them, is rim pressure and playmaking. Russell Westbrook drives all the time. He flubs layups very frequently, but hey, he's historically done that and still been considered good at rim pressure. So at the very least, he makes defenses care about him driving to the basket, can suck the defense in a little bit, drive drive and kick action, all of that. And then, of course, still a huge plus playmaker for his teammates. And that's one thing that the Clippers have always been lacking in, is that like go-to distributor. Like they've kind of had like a distributor by committee thing. Paul George has done it. Kawhi Leonard has done it. Back when they had Patrick Beverly, he would do it a little bit. Lou Williams would do it a little bit. But now, like, that number has dwindled. They even lost Luke Kennard, who is someone who is capable of doing some playmaking. Obviously, John Wall's gone. They traded for Bones Highland, but Bones Highland is really not much of a playmaker. He's really a shooting guard who's unfortunately a little bit too short to play that position. But he, in the case of the Clippers, it's not that they were I don't think they were in desperate need of a point guard as many people portrayed them to be, but it's nice to have. And that's the thing. Russ is making, I don't know what his actual contract is right now. I know it's not $48 million. I also know that it's going to be a one-year deal again, all but certainly. You know, very rarely are buyout candidates given more than a one-year deal. So if it's 1 year, $5 million, you have no issue benching that guy if you need to. Whereas it's kind of difficult to bench a guy who is taking up over a third of your team's cap space. So all that said, low risk, potentially high reward. I think this is a great move for both sides. I don't think there is, again, much risk involved. In the case of Russell Westbrook, there might be some risk. If he flubs it on a large stage again, I don't know how many more times he can have a terrible season. So I think this might potentially be Russell Westbrook's last chance to really be around for another couple of years. But yeah, that risk was kind of going to exist with whatever team he went with. So I don't know that that's any different. But now let's talk about Kevin Love to the Heat real quick. I think, again, any buyout candidate, it's pretty much a low risk, high reward type of thing. That's why the buyout market is so nice. Although traditionally speaking, I don't know how much buyout candidates actually end up affecting championship results. How many times has a team signed someone in the buyout market and they were a key player on their way to winning a championship? It doesn't really happen. But that said, Kevin Love could be cool for the Miami Heat. He's definitely the closest thing to a traditional power forward that they have had since that team, the Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo duo, has really come to be. And they've had Jay Crowder, PJ Tucker this year, like Caleb Martin, pretty much guys who would be small forwards, but the NBA is what it is now, so they're fours. But like Kevin Love does a lot of legitimate power forward, old school power forward stuff, posts up, rebounds, all that kind of stuff, but also faces the floor, passes the ball well. Not much of a defensive player, so I'm interested to see what they do with him. He's definitely provides some more versatility and some more depth and some more shooting. At the bare minimum, I think he would be, I mean, there's a chance he just doesn't cut the rotation for the playoffs period, but at the bare minimum, I think he can be a guy who you bring in for like 15-20 minutes a game in the playoffs to space the floor and make the right reads on offense, and you just hope that Bam and the rest of the team's defense is good enough to bridge the gap for all the issues that Kevin Love has defensively, because I do think if you're able to do that, he can contribute positively. It's just how good is Kevin Love at this point? Is he worth putting all that effort into making him work? I don't think that he is, so it really will come down to how much of a liability he truly ends up being defensively. All right, let's talk about Patrick Beverly and then we can get out of here. I actually really like this move the more I think about it. I saw a lot of people like tagging me in it or like trying to clown me about it, and I'm just like, I know Patrick Beverly has this reputation and a lot of people think that he sucks, but like he doesn't really. He's not been his best this year, I'll give you that, but like defensively he still has it for the most part. His three ball this year was horrible to open and started to come around to close the season, so I have some hope for that still being respectable enough, capable of making the right read whenever he has to make a pass, you know. And most importantly, above all else, one of the biggest criticisms I could give the Bulls that's just not purely an X's and O's thing and really is just a mentality thing. This team is dead all the time. This team doesn't seem to have even the modicum of effort to pretend to give a shit half of the time, if not more of that. So to have a player come in who, one way or the other, for better or for worse, love him or hate him, he is going to have some passion. Honestly, not the team needs this as much as they needed anything else on the floor. This team is so down in the dumps and so ready to just go with the flow. No one on this team is outspoken. And at the bare minimum, I know that if things are going bad, Patrick Beverly is going to pull everyone to a huddle, clap his hands a bunch of times, scream at the opponent to freak them out. Whatever it is, he'll do something to affect the energy of the game. And that's something this team desperately needs. Even if Patrick Beverly isn't even that great of a player anymore, not that he was ever a great player, but you know what I mean. Even if he's not like a pretty damn good role player like he used to be, at the bare minimum, that energy will be appreciated. And again, it's a buyout market guy. Who really cares? It doesn't affect much one way or the other. It's not like the Bulls are going positive positive regardless of this. Like, they're going really much more negative either. Same rule applies to the Russell Westbrook thing. If Patrick Beverly just ends up being another clown at this circus, then whatever. It was always a circus. But yeah, that is it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's been picking up the edit. And goodbye.